The Caravan Channel. Sponsored by Adrian Flux Insurance.
So because we've got the Caravan hitched to the car now and the Caravan weighs more than 750k, then the Caravan has to have brakes on it. Any trailer over 750k must be a braked trailer. Now the brakes on the trailer work slightly different to the car brakes. It works on what we call the overrun. And what we've got is the car following the Caravan following the car, probably doing 50 mile an hour. If I put my foot on the brake for the car slows down probably to 30 mile an hour, but the Caravan is still doing 50. And therefore the Caravan will push into the back of the car. And what that does, it pushes the towing hitch back, which starts to operate the overrun brakes on the Caravan. When the car starts to speed up, it pulls the towing hitch out, and then the Caravan brakes will release, and therefore the Caravan will follow again. Now the biggest problem comes when we start to reverse the car into the Caravan. So we're doing a reverse manoeuvre, and you would logically think, because we're reversing and we're pushing the towing hitch back in, that the overrun brakes would apply, and therefore the trailer would not then reverse. But what we've got on the Caravan is what we call the automatic reversing mechanism. And what that does is, if the car is going backwards, it detects that the wheel of the Caravan is rotating backwards. It allows the piston on the brakes to push through, and the brakes on the Caravan collapse slightly inwards away from the drum and allow the wheel to rotate on the Caravan without any interference. The problem is, when you've done that reverse manoeuvre, the Caravan brakes are in the wrong place. And if at this point you started to unhitch the Caravan and take the car away by applying the handbrake to the Caravan, you'd find that you would have very little contact with the brakes initially on the Caravan because the brakes start in the wrong place. So it's vitally important that after every reverse manoeuvre you always finish with a slight move forward. That will realign the brakes of the Caravan and make sure that the towing hitch is extended, and then you can detach the car and the Caravan safely without any problems. Now that we're out and driving, what we have to do is to avoid unnecessary things, and one of the important things is to avoid snaking. Snaking is when the natural sway of the Caravan starts to overtake and dictate to the car. One of the biggest problems with snaking is actually caused by the loading of the Caravan by putting the weights in the wrong place. And it's quite simple. If you put the weights in the wrong place, as the car starts to sway about naturally, as it will because it's just hanging on the ball at the back, then that sway can start to get a little bit more dangerous and become really dangerous to the point of affecting the car. When you're out, you've got to watch things like side winds. That will affect the Caravan. Going speed is a big problem with snaking, and that's when, certainly when you're going downhill, people like to sort of have a go at it and catch up time. When you're going down a hill at speed, it gets to a point where the Caravan really isn't being towed, it's actually following you. We've also got to watch when heavy vehicles come past, or bigger vehicles, because they create what we call a bow wave of wind. And that bow wave of wind will first of all make contact with the back of the van and push it over to the side. As the vehicle goes past, then the vortex at the back pulls the Caravan across and starts off a little bit of a wag. If the Caravan isn't loaded correctly, then that wag can start to increase, and the Caravan then starts to take over and make the Caravan and the car totally unstable, and to a certain point can tip the car over. So you've got to be careful with that situation. Now, if ever the Caravan gets into a snake, the biggest mistake that people make is that immediately they go for the brake, which is totally the wrong action. And that's because, as we explained earlier, that the Caravan brakes work on what we call the overrun. So the Caravan can be at an angle, and as you start to brake, all you're doing is slowing the car down, but the Caravan is still going at the same angle, and that will create a jackknife and the Caravan will come down. So the question that I'd like to ask everybody, if ever you get into a snake, you would like to get out of it safely, all those in favour, raise your right foot. And it's by raising your right foot, the Caravan will slow down naturally, the car will slow down with natural deceleration. Don't fight the steering wheel, just allow the car and the Caravan to settle down, and everything should be fine. So towing a Caravan needs a certain amount of skills, and to make those skills, to hone those skills, we need to practice the skills. Now people say that practice makes perfect. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Practice makes permanent. good practice makes perfect, so we've got to make sure that we're practicing the right thing so that we get very good at doing things right. What I would seriously recommend on that is that we get signed up to one of the caravan manoeuvring courses where you will be taught how to do the right thing, and then the practice becomes relevant.
Adrian Flux Insurance, proud sponsors of the Caravan channel.